This morning, UK GDP growth in the third quarter was confirmed at 0.7%, meaning a 3% expansion from the same period last year. To assess the figures, as well as the Eurozone, I am joined from London by Harry Daniels. Hello Harry and welcome. What do you think of the UK GDP figures? Are they encouraging?
Well, looking at the figures at face value, again, we've got a mixed reaction, well, limited reaction on the gilts and more animated but still quite stymied reaction for sterling on the back of the numbers. Basically, it was down to consumer spending, I think, which quickened its pace for the quarter to the most in 4 years and really was the main sort of instigator of growth for the quarter for the UK economy. We've already learned from Bank of England officials that they're worried about external factors on this front, and the Eurozone being their main worry. And so again, I guess with consumer spending taking most of the slack, they can maybe feel a little bit comforted in that respect. But business investment was a worry, and I think looking forward, they think that may just, or analysts may think that just stalls in the near term with a poor showing this time round.
Owen Paterson urged the UK to exit the EU yesterday. What are your thoughts on this sentiment?
Well, I think he's a bit of a controversial character. He's a former minister. It puts a little bit more pressure on David Cameron, really to stake his position on the subject. We know pretty clearly what David Cameron thinks and what they, in terms of a referendum, should they retain power next May. Paterson himself, I'm not a big political animal, so I'm not au fait of everything he said, but he does seem to be a bit of a controversial figure. So in terms of what it means for the UK, it doesn't change the dynamic, doesn't change the dialogue or the rhetoric we're having at the moment anyway. So it's just another voice to the already ever-growing noise around the referendum vote.
And finally, what is your outlook for the Eurozone recovery?
Well, I think everyone's been a slightly bit overly pessimistic. I mean, Juncker today announced his investment plan, and he wants the fund to be up and running by, I think it was June of next year. I mean, I'm a bit dubious as to anything the EU says when they put a date to it, but you've got to take it at face value, I think, for the time being, and say it's encouraging if there is, he's trying to leverage EU money against private investment. If it works, I think we're going to see better numbers than expected from the Eurozone next year. So I'm maybe not as down as a few other people. Plus, if we do get QE in the government bond buying form next year from the European Central Bank, you'd like to think that might encourage investment into Europe and to start to get a bit more liquidity around the economy, and therefore I think there could be potentially some upward revisions. It all depends if this euro decides to stay at lower levels and moves towards 120, which I think for the most part will encourage growth and save the euro area rather from protracted sort of recessionary pressure.
Thank you for joining us, Harry. That's it from the UK today. But we have more interviews from around the world, so stay tuned.